Hello, I'm Jim Rohn, and welcome to a journey that will change the way you see broken relationships. Let's be honest. Are you haunted by someone who once meant so much, but then suddenly disappeared as if you never existed in their world? Avoidants, the silent ghosts who leave without a word. They leave behind a mess of emotions, confusion, pain, and unanswered questions like, why wasn't I enough? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And this video is about to shed light on it all. Think about it. One moment they were laughing with you, and the next, they vanished from your life. You check your messages, replay every memory, wondering if you could rewind time to fix something, but the truth is, you don't know what happened. I've been in that exact place, and I discovered a secret most people never realize about the psychology of avoidance. This isn't some fantasy, it's a harsh truth. They'll never come back unless you hold the key I'm about to share. And here's the best part. That key is already in your hands, but only if you dare to do what 95% of others won't even try. Want to know what it is? I bet you just sat up straighter. Don't take your eyes off this video, because I'm going to reveal the exact steps to not only make them come back, but to make them see you in a completely different light. If you're ready to change the game, hit that subscribe button now. We're about to dive deeper into these psychological mysteries. So, are you ready? Avoidant psychology is a complex aspect of human behavior, often emerging when individuals face difficult or stressful situations. To better understand how people cope with such scenarios, we can envision the story of three runners, each representing a different approach to learning and dealing with challenges. Through this, we can see the connection between these approaches and avoidant psychology, the tendency to avoid negative emotions or failure rather than confront them directly. The first runner represents a trial-and-error learner, also known as procedural learning. He does not rely on a specific plan but constantly changes strategies, sometimes keeping his distance to observe, other times rushing in to save time. This approach shows that he learns from his own mistakes, but the inconsistency and lack of clear direction make his efforts easily fall apart. In avoidant psychology, someone like him may get caught in a spiral of anxiety, acting to avoid failure, yet the haste and lack of thought lead to undesirable results. This reflects a common tendency. When lacking a solid foundation, people are more likely to avoid responsibility or delay confronting problems. In contrast, the second runner represents theoretical or declarative learning. He has spent time thoroughly studying strategies and knows each step in theory. However, when facing reality, he becomes confused and unable to react in time. His extensive knowledge becomes useless due to a lack of adaptability, causing all his plans to collapse. This is another form of avoidant psychology. Instead of facing the uncertainty of reality, he avoids it by clinging to what he knows, what feels safe in textbooks. This rigidity keeps him from moving forward, trapped in a cycle of over-preparation, without action. Finally, the third runner is a harmonious blend of theory and practice. He not only understands the principles, but also knows how to apply them flexibly in real life. His calmness and adaptability help him overcome any situation without being swept up in fear or avoidance. This is the ideal model, showing that when people integrate knowledge and experience, they can face challenges instead of running from them. Avoidant psychology, therefore, is not a fixed trait, but something that can be overcome through balance and self-awareness. Overall, the three runners show us that avoidant psychology often arises when there is a lack of preparation or adaptability. Whether it's acting without thinking or clinging to theory, both are ways humans try to protect themselves from failure. Only when theory and practice are combined can people truly overcome fear and move forward. Avoidant psychology is a common defense mechanism that humans use to cope with stressful or uncomfortable situations. Through studying hundreds of cases of people who fell into the spiral of avoidance and then tried to return, I realized that overcoming this mindset does not rely solely on dry theory or blind action. Instead, it requires a tightly integrated process of learning, practicing, applying, and ultimately transforming those skills into natural instinct. This is the path for people to not only understand, but also master their emotions and behaviors when facing challenges. The first step is learning, or absorption. At this stage, understanding the basic principles becomes important. Letting go of unrealistic expectations, maintaining emotional distance to protect oneself, and not rushing to solve everything. This is the theoretical foundation that helps us recognize avoidant psychology, both in ourselves and in others. However, understanding alone is not enough, because knowledge without application is like a closed book. One may know exactly what needs to be done, but when faced with reality, the lack of experience makes it easy to fall back into old avoidance habits, such as procrastination or refusal to confront. Next is practice or self-conditioning. This requires applying the learned principles to small situations in everyday life. For example, instead of reacting immediately to a pressure-inducing invitation, we can practice pausing, breathing, and considering. These small steps help train natural responses, gradually reducing reliance on avoidant instincts. Consistent practice turns theory into concrete action, like an athlete training until the muscles remember the movements. Over time, this repetition creates familiarity, helping us gradually escape the cycle of anxiety and hesitation. Once familiar with practice, the application in real life or execution becomes a greater challenge. In actual situations involving avoidant individuals, we need to flexibly adjust our actions based on the other person's responses. This flexibility requires sensitivity and calmness rather than rigidly sticking to a fixed script. Ultimately, when everything is repeated long enough, those responses become instinct, the embodiment of psychological maturity. We no longer have to think too much, but act naturally with calm and confidence. In summary, avoidant psychology is not an impenetrable barrier. Through the process of learning, practicing, applying, and transforming into instinct, people can overcome fear and avoidance to live more proactively. The key lies in patience and commitment, because only by combining theory with practice can we truly master ourselves in the most difficult situations. Avoidant psychology is a common phenomenon in relationships where people choose to withdraw to protect themselves from hurt or pressure. Elly was once a girl who lived in fear of abandonment, always trying to hold on to every relationship through desperation and unanswered messages. In the past, whenever her ex became silent or distant, she would panic, constantly call or send long emotional texts, only to receive cold responses. His avoidant behavior drew her deeper into a spiral of self-comparison and self-doubt. But then, Elly decided to change and began a journey from understanding to self-mastery through 4 stages: absorption, conditioning, execution, and embodiment. Through her journey, Elly not only changed how she reacted to others' avoidance, but turned it into an advantage, affirming that self-awareness and practice can help us escape the spiral of negative emotions. In the absorption stage, Elly began by thoroughly studying avoidant psychology. She realized that desperation and clinging only pushed people further away, while confidence and calmness had the opposite effect. This was the foundational step where she built theoretical understanding of how her behavior affected those around her. Understanding this, Elly didn't stop at reading or reflection, because theory alone wasn't enough to change ingrained habits. She knew that relying only on knowledge would easily lead her back into anxiety or avoidance of the very things she needed to face. Next came the conditioning stage, where Elly began applying what she had learned in daily life. She practiced setting small boundaries, like limiting her availability every time she was called upon. These changes weren't easy, as they required her to overcome the instinct to please others. However, through each small situation, she trained herself in patience and emotional regulation. This was like a mental workout, helping her gradually get used to maintaining distance without feeling insecure or guilty, emotions often associated with avoidant psychology. In the execution stage, Elly faced the real challenge, her ex avoiding contact. Instead of panicking or trying to hold on, she chose to respond calmly, replying gently, but without investing too much emotion. This change made him curious, even attracted, and he began to reach out to her more actively. This proved that when we don't let emotions take control, we can reverse the situation instead of getting pulled into someone else's avoidance spiral. Elly learned to flexibly adjust her behavior based on feedback, turning theory into effective action. Finally, in the embodiment stage, Elly's new behavior became instinctual. She no longer had to perform or force herself into any mold. Confidence and calmness were now a natural part of her being, making her attractive without effort. Elly's story shows that avoidance psychology is not an unchangeable barrier. With perseverance through each stage, from understanding, practicing, applying, to internalizing, anyone can turn hardship into strength and live more proactively and attractively in relationship. Elly's story is an inspiring journey, a testament to the power of inner transformation to overcome avoidance psychology and emotional spirals. In the past, she was consumed by desperation, constantly chasing after others and losing herself in the fear of abandonment. But through 4 stages, absorbing knowledge, practicing boundaries, applying them flexibly in real life, and finally turning confidence into instinct, Elly transformed into a stronger, more attractive version of herself. Notably, the stark difference between the Elly of the past and the Elly of the present does not lie in external factors, but in how she learned to master her own psychology and behavior. From someone who constantly compared herself to others, she became someone who creates her own value, no longer controlled by anyone's avoidance. This journey is not just Elly's story, but a lesson for all of us. It reminds us that anyone can change as long as they are willing to learn, patiently practice, and continuously adjust themselves. Avoidance psychology, whether it comes from others or within ourselves, is not an impenetrable wall. With effort and commitment, anyone can overcome it to live a more confident and meaningful life. Elly did it, and so can you. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you who took the time to watch this video. Your support is a tremendous motivation for me to continue creating meaningful content that helps us explore and grow together. If Elly's story inspired you, or you have any thoughts you'd like to share, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's a personal experience, a lesson you've learned, or simply your feelings about this video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss future videos. Every subscription and comment is a valuable encouragement that helps the channel grow and bring more value to the community. Thank you once again, and see you in the next videos.